Because after 5 years on YouTube, I feel entitled to beg for free stuff. Oh my god, it worked! Need for Speed. Not really a franchise I'm interested in. But this is different. This is a racing game developed by Criterion. It's Burnout! And everyone knows how I feel about Burnout.
Here is where you would expect me to apologize for an old video relating to the current subject, but nah. I like my Burnout Paradise adventure. Burnout has always been a focal point of fantastic action for me, yes, including the first one. And I don't even like racing games. I've followed the franchise very closely. I even own the much lesser known Burnout Dominator. And I'm surprised no one's yelled at me for never mentioning Burnout Legends on the PSP. Yep, got that one too.
However, there is one Burnout game that I missed. I'm gonna go download it now.
Burnout Crash. Okay, Need for Speed Most Wanted. When I started a new game, I heard a very familiar voice. The lady giving me instructions was introduced in Burnout Revenge, and she keeps coming back. It's most likely Cortana, but I'm too lazy to look it up. I was waiting for Striker to appear, and then I realized that Crash FM probably wouldn't fit too well on Need for Speed. Most Wanted is like Burnout Paradise, with a sprawling city and nearby mountain range, right down to that abandoned airfield. But that's where the similarities come to an anti-lock brake system, non-screeching yet abrupt halt. I slowly felt my Burnout reality slipping away when I saw the cars. They're all licensed vehicles that exist in the real world. To most gamers, this wouldn't be a problem. Oh yes it is! I can't stand racing sims! They give you the world's most exotic cars and express over-realism. But when I try to force my opponent out of the way, they just bump into each other like giant soda cans. And the turning is always way too sensitive. Criterion, how could you do this? Hey. This actually works quite well. It's damn near perfect. And I can do takedowns. They're not as celebrated as the past racers, but at least Criterion still acknowledges the existence of physics. Each car has a specific set of races, speed trials, and police evasions that will take you all over Fairhaven, a coastal rocky Great Plain Appalachian Alpine metropolis type city. You know the kind. Completing these tasks will earn you speed points, and speed points are what allows you to rise through the ranks and face the most wanted drivers. Take them down, that's right, takedown still in the house, and you will be among Fairhaven's most wanted. At the cost of real cars, Burnout 6, Need for Speed Most Wanted, trades down to 30 frames per second, and this is how the subject of graphical quality unfolds into a four-dimensional complicated discussion. Burnout classically ran at 60 frames, which I much prefer. Conversely, everything in Most Wanted looks better than Burnout Paradise, except the refresh rate. Keep that in mind when you feel like arguing in the comments section. At any rate, no pun intended, 30 frames per second is just fine. Another non-issue is the sense of leveling. Rather than working through clunkers, the second you see that Porsche, you can drive it. I don't know much about cars beyond Ford is in Detroit and Mitsubishi is Tokyo. With the absence of that knowledge, I began to measure a vehicle's worth by the length of the brand name. So when facing a boss situation, I just used the Lamborghini, or as Michael Caine says, the Wambigini, and the Most Wanted were no longer a challenge. Now for slightly larger issues. I found the game unfairly difficult at the beginning. Later on, I figured the problem was I was driving British and the German cars. I speculate I'm not sophisticated enough to handle a Bentley or BMW. Another problem was severe loading issues. I thought, what is this, the Sega CD? Sheesh. Then the next day, the problem disappeared. No updates, no patch. Is this even worth bringing up? Well, the settings page is still having a hard time, so yes, I declare load times as a partial problem. And I partially withdraw it because I never had any use for the settings page. The single-player Most Wanted campaign isn't very long, only about 10 hours. A very fun 10 hours, mind you. I suppose since this is a socially connected racer, it's only fair that I try multiplayer, a mode I usually avoid like leather seats on a hot day. The autolog can make activity suggestions based on what your friends have done. Sounds a bit like groupthink to me, and you've already heard me talk about that. Since I don't really have friends, much less Xbox friends that have Most Wanted before street release, I just picked a match with random players, ready to lose. I never even bothered with any of the Burnout's online multiplayer. Whoa, I got first place in that race? Well, I did handle those corners nicely. Holy 91 octane, second place overall? I've been playing the wrong multiplayer games. Not that I'm any more excited to play with other rabid gamers. I'm guessing this is what World of Warcraft is like most of the time. Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012 version is the best mix of arcade and racing sim I've ever played. Since I'm a Burnout fanatic, I do miss Road Rage and Eliminator and Showtime mode. There is a special campy charm to playing cars that are completely made up and meant to be destroyed. It's like watching Mythbusters and saying to yourself, that was some extreme science and a lot of fun. Then you watch Smash Labs and say, well, that was some extreme science. Smash Labs isn't actually a bad show, I just have my preference. And if Burnout is gone forever, I'm okay with that, because we've had a good 7 iterations that I can pop in and play anytime. Or, I could just play Split Second.
Hey, Storm, shouldn't you be playing...
Yeah. Free games take precedence.